This has had lots of reaction, as you can imagine, the whole performance of England. Let's bring you what Adrian Durham had to say. He had some strong views on the substitutions that Southgate made last night. This is what he had to say.
I was totally bewildered and baffled on 65 minutes when Gareth decided to take off the best player in Spain and the most informed player in England. Bellingham and Maddison both went off. Maddison had been played out of position, not put in his best position that he's playing for Spurs. And I couldn't get my head around it at all. And I appreciate attacking players came on, Rashford and Foden. But you've got two of the most outstanding players so far this season in European football. And we need to find a winner, and he's taken them off. I'm a big Gareth Southgate fan, but even I can't understand or explain that one.
Yeah, I mean, he makes a good point. To take them off quite early on is a little baffling. Although in that sense, England do have the luxury of strength and depth, so it wasn't like they were bringing on players that aren't of a similar quality. They were bringing on Phil Foden and Marcus Rashford.
Well, that's why I laugh, because Rashford and Foden, one's just been given a new 5-year deal, obviously Manchester United in Rashford. Mm-hmm. Foden's a tremendous player that hasn't quite found his feet with the national team. He's another gifted player. What I would say is, look, Joe Benham wasn't playing particularly well. And sometimes it's not your night, and a manager thinks, I'm going to change things around. Mm-hmm. And I sort of I probably would have left, obviously, Maddison on. I would have given Maddison the whole 90 minutes, even though I'd have, like I said, and I sort of get, if you want to, criticise Gareth slightly for that tactical switch or just give a player an opportunity, yeah, okay, I agree with that, because I did think at the time, just play Maddison in his actual position.
Yeah.
And give him a fair crack of the whip. I agree with that. So, but I think these are fine lines, and he also has witnessed what Gareth has achieved over the last few years, and I think Adrian's been very bold in his approach to how he thinks Gareth's been such a successful manager, not just with what we've seen on the pitch. So there's lots of good things in there. I just think, don't get caught up in this game. This was one of them. And I've been in many a game, I've said before, forget about it, move on.
I know what you're saying. You're saying, look, don't value the whole of England on that one performance yesterday. But what about the game coming up on Tuesday against Scotland? It's a friendly. It's not a qualifier, we should say. But how should we be viewing that?
Well, it's hard to imagine saying
it's the rivalry.
Scotland-England game. Be careful, don't get injured. Make sure you go back to your clubs all right. I don't imagine that at all. I expect it to be, sweat, blood. Scotland will certainly, and Stevie Clarke will love it. He'll think, they've had a brilliant campaign, and he'll be thinking
5 wins out of 5. They've been incredible.
So he'll be looking forward to a friendly come, which the fans don't treat as a friendly, do they?
No.
So the players can't.
But this is what I mean. I mean, if the fans don't treat it as a friendly, they're going, from both sides, are expecting good performances.
Well, what I would like to see, if from Gareth, is to go, James Maddison, anybody you feel like needs to be given an opportunity to show what they can do. He really knows. And have a look at a few things against Scotland, but keep Maddison in his right position and give him the opportunity to shine. Whether he'll play Kane, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure he'll play Kane. Well, because sometimes if you bring in a second striker, what was the reason, apart from having him around Nketiah? If you were bringing him in, surely give him a start of a match. Let him play for England, get the feel in a friendly. Even though the friendly is Scotland, I'd still play Eddie Nketiah. Not more, just to give him a chance, get him that feel of playing and an opportunity.
He just doesn't drop Kane, ever. And there have been times where you've thought, this is the perfect opportunity to try someone else. And he hasn't really done that. So I just don't know if he'll do it, especially in a game that means so much to fans.
It's not dropping him that, is it?
No, all right. But
you're not dropping Kane. You're playing a friendly.
You're not dropping. I understand
Kane.
The word dropping isn't right, but essentially, all right, you're not picking him.
Yeah, you're not picking him.
But he doesn't really tend to do that.
I think it's one that you'd go, come on, we need to have a look at a few things tonight. And yes, we're up against Scotland, but I'm still going to be brave enough to do it and try and see who fits with who and maybe who needs a game. There's sometimes players need... I remember, being with Mick McCarthy, Jack Charlton, they both looked at football and they'd say, I need to play him, just in case this comes up further down the line and is needed.
I listen. I'm all for it. I'm all for trying out new players, but again, we've seen that before. That doesn't quite happen with Southgate.
No.
But
would I play Maguire? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't play him against Scotland.
Who would you bring in? Colwell?
Well, just whoever you think. Why select him?
I agree with
why
you.
Select him if you're not going to give him a game in a friendly?
But we've seen that.
Yeah.
Well,
then there's a side where you can say a little bit critical, but I would like to see Colwell. I'd like to see Nketiah. And it's not you just play the second string. It's not. These are players that have earned their right to play for England's national team, which is a hell of a good squad. So they're all exceptionally gifted players.